Today, you guys, we are getting to sit down with Andrew Bosworth, Boz, the CTO of Meta. Today was a huge day at Connect. We got to see some of the coolest stuff like the Quest 3S launch and the announcement. And we are getting to see some of the prototypes of Orion, the AR glasses that Meta has been developing. So without further ado, I have Andrew here. It's nice to meet you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you as
I'm
well.
super excited to chat about kind of everything that's going on at Meta and what you guys have been up to. I guess to start off, obviously the 3S got announced today. We'll be launching here pretty soon.
Super well kept secret. Obviously,
No one knew.
No one saw that coming. That's what I pride myself on that.
Yeah. For you guys, how important was it that you guys came down in the price from the 3 to like make it more accessible for people?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about what we're trying to build with Quest, we talk about the Quest ecosystem, not the Quest product line. It's the ecosystem. What is going to get developers to build great experiences? More people using the headset. And the best way to do that is to make it more accessible to more people. So for us, all the engineering that went into the Quest 3, let's call that, some amount of engineering, it takes just as much to then get it into an affordable price point with the 3S. And what we hope is that does bring the consumers in, that makes developers feel confident that they can build with this ecosystem. That in turn brings more consumers in and you've got the flywheel going. And we've been seeing great growth in the VR industry over the last several years, I think with especially a big bump with mixed reality the last year. And so I think this has the chance to really put it over the top.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I guess from like a developer's perspective, is there kind of a certain demographic that you think that price point will hit? Is it going to be, hey, there's going to be a lot more kids coming onto the platform and you're looking for that? Or is it people that are trying to do more lifestyle things like fitness? And, what kind of demographic are you hoping to be able to attract?
All of the above. I mean, you're absolutely right. Teen and young adults obviously are tremendously, eager users of the platform. If you look at experiences, Gorilla Tag, Rec Room, VRChat, people are spending tremendous amounts of time and just these are really meaningful experiences for them. I do think if you're a fitness enthusiast, before maybe at the Quest 3 price point, maybe it was a little bit tougher to pull the trigger. Now that you're $299, you say, hey, wait a second, this is something that I could really use in my daily fitness routine. So for all those use cases and a bunch more that we haven't even gotten into now that the mixed reality, APIs are going to be made available, hopefully that we're just scratching the surface of what's possible when you have a larger audience that you can reach.
Awesome. And, with that, I think that the next kind of accessibility point is with the glasses and with everything with Ray-Ban, and even just things with the Horizon OS. I guess to still stay on the Quest is the Horizon OS. There's a lot of announcements about streamlining for devs and things like that. From like a consumer, like if you're just, hey, I'm getting a Quest, here are like the next things that developers are going to do. If you're someone who just picked up the headset and you're like, oh, I'm excited about the next 2 years of cool apps coming, what are some of the things that the devs are now going to be able to create?
Yeah. Well, two answers for me. The first one I kind of hinted at a minute ago. We are going to, provide with, consumer, awareness, the access to developers who want to develop mixed reality apps where they have camera access and they start to have the ability to understand and analyze the images coming in from the sensors. And I think that's a potentially huge game changer for a bunch of use cases, some of them very fun, entertainment oriented, but some of them much more practical. For me at least, if I've got home repairs to do, don't just show me a YouTube video, which I can now co-watch in headset, but show me something that's like, no, taking the image of what I'm looking at, the oven part that needs repair, the gutter thing, and show me like, okay, here's what you need to actually do. I think that's a huge unplumbed area that is going to go big once the headset is not only capable in terms of the APIs being available, but also affordable, so someone can reasonably have it around. The second one for me is really pushing harder on the social APIs that we've done, making it easier for people to have avatars, making it easier for developers to use those avatars, to use our social systems to build software that's fundamentally social. It's not a mistake that I mentioned these titles earlier that are very social, and those are the biggest revenue opportunities. We talked about Gorilla Tag at 100 million, and the biggest time spent are social, and that's not trivial to build if you're a developer. And we want to take that off of people's hands and make that easier for them to build. And so I think we've got a couple really promising areas where hopefully developers say, hey, wait a second, a thing I wanted to build is now possible, or a thing I wanted to build is now at least much easier and cheaper to build.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess shifting into, I want to ask a question about the AR glasses,
Yeah.
the
I
Orions. Yeah.
have the rare clear plastic ones that we used to show off.
Yeah, they're you can't even tell the difference.
That's right. That's right. We're getting close. We're getting closer.
Absolutely. Can you just like for people who maybe didn't just watch the keynote, what is like the kind of 30-second synopsis of the development that you guys have put in all these years?
Yeah, going back, the research started 10 years ago. The product effort started 5.5 or 6 years ago. And when it started, we really did not think, we thought it was like it really was a moonshot. It was like, hey, we probably have less chance of this than we do of like launching something to the moon. That's like really how we thought of it. And so it was a tremendous effort over a huge period of time, and we're super proud of it. 70-degree field of view, full color, incredible, really interaction design using a neural interface wristband.
Yeah.
So it also does hand tracking, it uses eye tracking, but you can also have your hands completely at your side, even out of view of the cameras, and still be able to interact with it. And it's not just a hardware prototype. It works. We've got an operating system that runs. You can scroll Instagram, you can like your Instagram reels on this thing. You can browse the web, you can watch videos, you can do video calls. It uses codec avatars to render really realistic looking avatar for you, even just wearing the glasses. And of course, you can see the person you're talking to in full fidelity. Nothing like this has ever existed. It's really crazy to say that, but it's really true. And you'll forgive me if I seem a little bit, brash about it, but like we just didn't know if we could do it. We just didn't know if it could be done.
It is like a sci-fi. Like people think about like glasses and like then you got contacts. That would be a whole nother level, right? And it's like,
and I think
to be able to achieve that.
And there's people working on contacts in the industry as well. The power is a problem. I'll give you a hint on what the real problems there are: power and size. But for us, the other thing is like, and now that we've got these, they're spectacular. We already know how to make them thinner, how to make them lighter, how to make them smaller.
There's a clear roadmap.
Yeah, there's a path there, and it's not without sacrifices and challenges. Especially when you start to take some of this and you want to drive the price down 10x, which I think we can do. We have a path to all of that. So it really, this just feels to me like there's a famous quote. Steve Jobs early on arranged a visit to Xerox PARC, actually 2 visits to Xerox PARC to see the Alto, which was famously the first personal computer developed by a research group there. And when he saw it, I'll get the quote wrong, forgive me, but he said something like, you could quibble over different parts of it, but it was you couldn't question this was the future. Like you just knew this was the future. This feels like the Alto. This feels like a thing where when you see it, you're like, oh yeah, this is definitely the future. Like at some point, we will all have these. They'll replace our need for mobile phones, or at least change our relationship with mobile phones. And we'll have them. There's no question. You can question about when it's going to happen or exactly how it's going to look or how it's going to work, but like it's going to happen. And that's what this device represents to us.
Yeah, which we already have the form factor. We're wearing the new
That's
clear Ray-Ban.
The matching that these, I can't tell you how enthusiastic I am. People who follow me on the internet know I've been teasing clear Ray-Ban Metas for a while now. We had a version internally, the same kind of like this that we do just to show off the electronics.
Right.
Well, then of course I stole them and just started wearing them. And everyone's like, stop putting these.
You gotta release them.
Stop putting these in your stories. Like this is not a product. And so I really feel like in conjunction with my wonderful
partners. You're gonna get a little part of the sale for all of them.
I should be on retainer. That's right. No, I willed these into existence.
Yeah.
And of course, our friends at Luxottica did an incredible job. I thought the ones that I had were good enough. Oh no, then you look at the clear plastic thing we got here, and this is so much work. The glue. The reason they didn't like the ones that we had before, the glue was just a little the wrong color.
Yeah.
So they had to develop a clear adhesive. So I'm really proud of our industrial design team and Peter Bristol and his team and our partners at Luxottica. I just think they're just spectacular.
Yeah.
And their transitions. And the transitions are so fast. The second generation transitions, I could not believe. Earlier today, I went outside with Rocco, who's our partner in Luxottica, and we were all wearing these. And they were so quick. Yeah. So we're really so thrilled with these announcements. And of course, these aren't even the biggest ones for Ray-Ban Meta. Live translations, partnership with Be My Eyes for people who are in the low vision community or are blind. We're just adding like so much value to glasses people already bought. Like they already have these glasses and they're just getting better over time, which we love.
Yeah, that's awesome. And to kind of connect kind of what we've talked about with all of them, a lot of announcements were on Horizon OS and building inside a spatial. How much thought is put behind kind of what you're building in Orion and Ray-Bans and what they how they work with Quest and what you guys are building from a systematic level?
Yeah, I mean, we're engineers, so we want to have a big shared technology platform, right? Yeah. And so the hand tracking, the eye tracking, the voice, the interactions with the AI and the assistant, the avatars, codec avatars, stylized avatars, all of those are shared across both systems. At the same time, I do want each of them to be the best form of itself. not to have to make sacrifices in one form factor just so it's the same in both places.
Yeah.
Because your contexts are so different. If I'm wearing Orions and I'm walking around the world, I'm not doing the same types of work that I'm doing when I'm in the Quest 3S and I'm like sitting down and it's very different work. I think of it as like your phone, your laptop. Like they both do email, like they both do the web, but you and I both know we use them in different ways. Sometimes I always joke, I'm on my phone and you're like typing an email, like, no, this is a laptop email. You put the phone down, this one needs a laptop. So we just have a structure of that. So we want to maximize the shared technology, but also allow each of them, especially from an interaction design perspective and a platform perspective, to be their own thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. And I guess maybe one little piece of technology that they kind of teased, just to learn a little bit more about, is the neural bracelet.
Yeah.
And obviously, I understand the idea of like, hey, we all know about the Neuralink, and that's an actual chip. And I understand why, hey, not having that, having something that isn't going to be invasive is a huge thing. What is it about having it as a bracelet versus any sort of kind of device that you'd put on your body, even if it was a cap or something that.
Well, it's worth noting where we started with this work. Actually, 8 years ago, we did a study with UCSF where we put as an invasive brain implant with somebody, and it was somebody who had a traumatic brain injury and was nonverbal, and they were able to use this implant to speak through a computer. They had a lexicon of maybe 400 words.
Wow.
The challenge with invasive brain implants isn't just that they're invasive; it's that they also they get myelinated. They decay over time. So it's not just that you need a brain surgery. You need
multiple
annual brain surgery.
Yeah.
And annual brain surgery is not huge in the consumer goods list of things.
No.
The reason we did that study,
big con.
it's a pretty big negative. The reason we did that study actually was that then when the patient was doing it, we put a mesh of super sensitive electrodes on the outside of the skull to see if there was any way to coax signal from that area, and there really is not. It's you have an incredible electronic dampening system around your skull. And so what's interesting about the wrist, we acquired a company called Control Labs, and what they'd found is that you have a tremendous amount of neuroplasticity around motor cortex. So you have the ability to remap your motor controls, and there's actually more bandwidth than you strictly need. So you can send signals down your arms that don't lead to an actuator, don't lead to a finger. And so we realized that there's a huge ceiling on what the amount of data you can control using this kind of interface. Now, obviously, we're just scratching the surface with the neural interface that we have for Orion. For that, it's very simple gestures, and they're small, and they can be at rest at your side, but they are gestures. With people who've spent more time with it, you can get those gestures to basically be invisible. They almost don't exist. And you can start to do things like handwriting detection. If you have two, you can do you can do typing with no keyboard in front of you. So for us, the neural interfaces that we have in Orion not only give you this interface that you can use while walking around the world without having to have your hands up or be speaking out loud all the time, but also we think there's just a huge ceiling for what else we can do with it.
And is it kind of an intention kind of deal, or is
That's right. It's definitely intention. It's definitely not reading your mind.
Yeah.
It's all downstream of the intention. So just like I would generate an intention and go to my motor cortex and say, hey, I want to move my right arm, and it would move. I could do the same exact thing. And right now, we are having you move your fingers because it's easier.
Yeah.
And then over time, we believe we'll be able to develop it such that you can actually just have a thought and express a motor intention.
Yeah.
Except that instead of moving a motor, it moves a digital cursor.
Got it. And right now in the development, do you find that people still are having kind of a learning like a pretty long learning curve with it, or is it because you still are moving?
Right now, it's pretty straightforward, right?
Yeah.
You're using eye tracking for your selecting, and you're using a single tap with your finger to select, and then you have a home gesture, which is your middle finger, and then we have some fun ones like if you're scrolling, you just flip a coin, and it scrolls, and that's pretty satisfying. And you can double tap your thumb to get to the AI prompt to come up. And so like right now, it's like a very simple set of gestures, but really if you look at the pioneering work that's been done several times in the history of our industry, one recently was the multi-touch, which Apple just did an incredible job. I think we can all agree on that. But going back even further, again, to Stanford Research Institute and Xerox PARC, where you're inventing the keyboard and the mouse. And these things are non-intuitive at first. And it takes a lot of user research to figure out, okay, what do I intuitively want to do across the population? And then what are the signals that we can actually use and just match those together? And so you start with, okay, selection, activation, scrolling. And then over time, you extend to things like, okay, click and drag, right click. Like those modalities come later on. And we have a huge, range of gestures that are available to us because we have these EMG wristbands.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like with everything that we've talked about, there's definitely a path forward and a very kind of clear one of increasing, just the accessibility again with the Quest 3 and just the way that we interact with technology, which is really cool. So I'm sure we could talk for like hours about this stuff, but this is the main day of Connect, so I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me.
No, thank you, man.
I guess until next time. So
Can't wait.
again, yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, man. Cheers.
All right, cheers.